Okay, here's a weird one for you. If I told you that the reason you're constantly hangry, maybe exhausted, and still, struggling to flatten your stomach is because your body genuinely thinks it's being stalked by a bear,
Mm.
would you believe me?
Huh. Well, it sounds dramatic, but yeah, that's basically the panic mode you trigger when you follow a lot of the really common kind of outdated diet advice.
Right, it's like this constant state of emergency.
Exactly. The body's incredibly smart, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, it reads that deliberate calorie cutting as, well, starvation. And starvation flips a very old, very primal survival switch.
Totally. And for decades, the whole weight loss conversation, it's been boiled down to just bad math, almost,
Yeah.
Calories in versus calories out.
A simple equation.
Yeah, if you weigh X and you want to weigh Y, you just need a bigger deficit, done. It's been treated like this fundamental law of physics or something.
Mm-hmm. And yet we have decades, literally decades, of people trying it and being incredibly frustrated. It proves that equation is missing a really key variable.
Hormones.
Hormones. Bingo.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to get into the source material here and introduce you to the real boss of your metabolism. It's this tiny, powerful hormone making all the rules about fat storage.
And then
We're going to give you this one kind of funny named exercise that actually tightens up your midsection without wrecking your back. So we're ditching the simple calculator.
and grabbing the owner's manual, the biological owner's manual.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this first bit. Why is the calorie deficit model, just by itself, fundamentally flawed? We're always told, treat your body like a machine. Less fuel in.
Less output, less weight, like a car.
Right. Why is treating our amazing biological system like, I don't know, an old Ford Pinto such a huge mistake?
Because your body isn't a static machine. It's alive, it's dynamic, it adapts, and it's run by this incredibly complex network, the endocrine system, all those glands sending hormone messages everywhere.
Okay.
So when you drastically cut calories, your endocrine system basically hits the big red crisis alert button.
Mhm.
It senses scarcity, a famine, essentially.
And what happens then? Does it kindly say, oh, lovely famine, time to burn all that stored fat?
Huh. It's only. No, quite the opposite, actually. It adapts by becoming incredibly stingy, miserly, even.
How so?
It lowers your basal metabolic rate. That's the speed you burn fuel, just, existing, breathing, thinking, keeping warm.
Ah, okay.
Your metabolism becomes what we might politely call more efficient. But this efficiency is terrible for weight loss. It means your body is learning to run further and further on less and less fuel.
And you feel that, right?
Oh, absolutely. You feel it as sluggishness, maybe feeling cold all the time, just general low energy. It's literally slowing down internal processes to conserve every single bit of energy it can.
So the whole calories in versus calories out equation just falls apart. Because the calories outside start shrinking the moment you restrict the calories in.
Exactly. It's a moving target, and it's always moving in the wrong direction for you.
It's working against you.
Precisely. And then there's the second whammy,
Mm.
the willpower battle.
Oh, yeah.
When you cut calories, but you're still relying heavily on quick-burning fuels, primarily carbohydrates, you send your hunger hormones through the roof.
So you're slow and starving.
You got it. Your metabolism's in the basement, and you are fighting these intense biological cravings pretty much 24/7. It's not a lack of willpower that makes people quit these diets. It's biology screaming at them.
It's like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a flimsy beach umbrella. It's just not sustainable.
Not long-term, no.
Yeah.
And the sources we looked at suggest this repeated cycle, restrict, crave, give in, restrict. Again, that's what often leads to that dreaded stubborn metabolism.
Which often kicks in when?
Yeah.
Like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, that seems to be a common time frame, especially after a few rounds of traditional dieting. The body learns the pattern, it remembers the famine.
So it gets smarter about holding on to fat.
It gets fiercely protective of its fat stores the next time it senses restriction.
Yeah.
You've basically trained your body to see every diet as a potential starvation event, making it exceptionally good at, well, holding on to weight.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. If the sheer amount of food isn't the main thing, then what is? What's the quality signal that flips the fat-burning switch?
Right. We need to talk about the hormone most people have heard of, but maybe misunderstand its primary role in this context: insulin.
Insulin.
Yeah.
The diabetes hormone, right? That's what most people think.
It is involved in blood sugar regulation, absolutely.
Yeah.
But in terms of body composition, its role is arguably even more profound. Insulin is the key. It's the main hormone dictating whether your body is in fat storage mode or fat burning mode.
Explain that. Storage versus burning.
Okay, think of insulin like a very strict traffic cop for energy, or maybe a bank manager. When insulin levels are high, maybe after you eat a carb-heavy meal, the bank is open only for deposits.
Meaning?
Meaning you can store energy primarily as fat. The manager says, nope, no withdrawals allowed right now. Your body cannot easily access its own stored fat for fuel when insulin is elevated.
Wow, so you could like run a 10K, burn a bunch of calories.
Yep.
But if your insulin is still high from breakfast, that fat withdrawal window is slammed shut. You're just burning the sugar you ate.
That's the fundamental insight that changes everything. The fat stores remain locked away. To access them, insulin must come down. When insulin is low, the bank manager finally says, okay, withdrawals are permitted. Now your body can tap into its stored fat.
Okay, that clicks. That makes the whole all calories are not created equal thing make actual sense. It's about the hormonal signal they send.
Exactly. We have to look at the quality of the calorie, specifically how different types of food trigger insulin.
All right, give us the hierarchy, the three big macronutrients. Carbs, protein, fat. How do they stack up in terms of hitting that insulin button?
Okay, top of the list, the biggest trigger by far, carbohydrates. Especially refined carbs and sugars, they cause the most dramatic insulin spike.
Got it. Carbs equals high insulin.
Next up is protein. It does have an effect, but it's more moderate, more manageable. Protein is crucial, obviously, for muscle repair, enzymes, all that stuff, but it does cause a bit of an insulin bump.
Okay, moderate bump from protein. And the last one.
Dietary fat. This is the surprising one for many people. Healthy dietary fat is virtually neutral. It causes little to no insulin response.
Whoa, neutral. So eating fat doesn't really tell your body to stow fat, hormonally speaking.
Correct. It's the carbohydrates that primarily drive up insulin and signal fat storage.
That distinction feels huge. But hang on, a question listeners might have right now. If fat is neutral and protein is only moderate, why not just gorge on steak and butter? Why the need to keep protein moderate too?
That's a really important clarification. Protein is essential, no doubt, but there's a limit. If you eat excessive amounts of protein, more than your body needs for repair and basic functions, your body can convert those extra amino acids into glucose.
Through a process called
Gluconeogenesis, fancy word for making new glucose. And what does glucose do?
spikes insulin.
Exactly. So you can inadvertently raise your insulin and shut off fat burning by eating way too much protein. You need that Goldilocks amount enough, but not too much.
Find the sweet spot. Okay, so the goal isn't just eating less. It's eating in a way that keeps that insulin bank manager kind of sleepy, mostly off duty.
That's the perfect analogy. Keep insulin low.
So we can finally access what you called the body's biological pantry.
Precisely. We are all walking around with this incredible energy reserve, our stored body fat. It's meant to be used. When you're eating, fine, use food energy, but when you're not eating, between meals, overnight, where should that energy come from?
From the pantry, from fat stores.
It should. But the problem with the standard high-carb diet is you're constantly topping up the sugar tank. There's always immediate glucose available, so the body just never bothers unlocking the pantry door. Why would it?
It's like having a full fridge and a massive freezer full of food, but you only ever eat from the fridge and keep adding more to the freezer. It makes no sense.
It's a logistical nightmare. But if you lower those insulin-spiking carbs, you stabilize your blood sugar, insulin levels drop. And now your body has no choice. It must turn to the pantry. It has to tap into that stored fat for fuel.
And this is where the magic happens, right? Because you might be eating, say, 1,500 calories of food.
Yeah.
But because your body is now adapted to burning fat, it's pulling maybe an extra 500, 700, even 800 calories directly from your own body fat each day to meet its energy needs.
That's the metabolic advantage. You're fueling yourself from the inside out.
Which leads us to the really cool thing, the part that sounds almost too good to be true compared to old school dieting misery.
The hunger disappears.
The hunger and the cravings, they just vanish. How? Why?
Because your body isn't starving anymore. Even if you're eating less food overall, your body is constantly accessing this rich, dense fuel source, its own fat. It's literally eating your own fat between meals.
Yeah.
So there's no internal starvation signal being sent to the brain. Your body feels fueled, satisfied, stable. Compare that to someone cutting calories but still eating bread, pasta, sugar. They are in a perpetual state of wanting, craving, feeling deprived. It's night and day.
It makes total sense.
Yes.
If you've got this internal IV drip of steady energy from fat, You don't need to constantly seek out external hits of quick sugar.
Exactly. And just to underline why fat is such a good fuel, gram for gram, it provides more than double the energy over twice the calories compared to glucose from carbs or protein. It's dense, stable, long-lasting energy.
Sustainable energy.
Very much so. Now, for people thinking about trying this, maybe with a ketogenic approach, there are some timelines to be aware of.
Okay, like how long does it take?
It usually takes about 2 to 3 days of keeping carbs very low, typically under 20-30 grams, for your body to burn through its stored glucose, its glycogen, and start producing ketones. That's entering ketosis.
Right.
But getting really good at burning fat, what we call becoming fat adapted or keto adapted, where your cells actually build more machinery to efficiently use fat and ketone,
Yeah.
that takes a bit longer, usually around 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes a bit more.
And that's when you feel the best. Like the mental clarity, the steady energy people talk about.
That's typically when the full benefits really kick in, yeah. Your body's fully shifted gears.
And that initial aggressive phase, the macro breakdown, is pretty strict, right? Something like.
Yeah. For therapeutic ketosis, it's often around 5% of calories from carbs, maybe 20-25% from protein, remembering that Goldilocks zone and the rest, maybe 70-75% from healthy fats.
Wow, 75% fat. That sounds intense. Is that forever?
Oh gosh, no. Not usually. Think of it as a tool, a therapeutic intervention. It's incredibly effective for resetting insulin sensitivity, getting fat adapted, achieving significant fat loss. Once you reach your goals, most people transition to a more moderate, low-carb, or whole foods plan for maintenance. It's about using the right tool for the job.
Got it. And when we lose fat this way, by lowering insulin, what kind of fat goes first? Because I know there are different types.
Great question. The first fat to really respond, and the most dangerous type, is visceral fat.
That's the deep stuff.
Yeah, the internal fat that wraps around your organs in your abdominal cavity. It's the hard, dense fat associated with metabolic problems, the kind that contributes to that apple shape. That's highly sensitive to insulin levels, so it tends to decrease significantly first.
And the squishy stuff.
The superficial fat, the layer under the skin you can pinch, that often comes off more slowly, sometimes after the visceral fat has reduced. But getting rid of that visceral fat is the biggest win for health and often for appearance, too.
Okay, perfect. So we've tackled the fuel source, we've turned insulin way down, the body's happily munching on its own fat stores from the biological pantry. The visceral fat is melting away. But people might still feel kind of soft or look a bit loose around the middle, right?
Absolutely. Even after significant fat loss, now we need to talk structure, not just fuel. We need to talk about tightening and toning the actual frame.
And it's not just about muscle.
Not entirely. A big part of that flabby look, even in relatively lean people, isn't necessarily fat. It can be due to the atrophy, the weakening of your fascia.
Fascia. Remind me,
It's that amazing web-like connective tissue throughout your body. Think of it like an internal gel-like shrink wrap or a natural corset. It holds everything together, provides support, transmits force.
Okay, like internal Spanx.
Huh. Sort of, yeah. And when the deep stabilizing muscles of your core aren't used correctly or aren't strong, the fascia in that area can lose its tone, its tautness. It gets slack, contributing to that loose stomach appearance.
So we need to wake it up, stimulate that area properly.
Exactly. And this brings us to why traditional sit-ups and crunches are often, well, not great. Actually problematic for a lot of people.
Why? Because they mainly work the wrong muscles.
Precisely. They tend to overactivate the big, strong hip flexor muscles, particularly the psoas.
That's the deep one connecting the spine to the leg, right?
That's the one. It's designed for big movements like lifting your leg. When you use it to curl your torso up in a sit-up, you often end up yanking on your lower back, pulling it out of alignment, causing strain. And you barely engage the deep abdominal muscle, the transverse abdominis, the obliques, the ones that actually act like that corset and flatten the stomach.
Yeah.
You're basically cheating the movement using the wrong muscles.
Avoid the psoas pitfall. Got it. So instead of the crunch, we embrace the exercise that sounds like a bit of a tragedy.
The dead bug.
The dead bug. It really does sound unfortunate.
The name is terrible. The exercise is fantastic. It literally looks like an insect flipped on its back, legs waving uselessly. But it's one of the absolute best moves for toning and tightening the entire abdominal wall, acting like that built-in girdle without putting stress on your lower back.
Okay, let's break down how to do it. Because precision matters here, right?
Yeah.
It's not about speed.
Absolutely not. It's all about slow, controlled tension. So start lying on your back.
Okay.
Bring your knees up directly over your hips. Then bend your knees so your shins are parallel to the floor.
Yeah.
Hips, knees, ankles are all at 90-degree angles, like a little tabletop.
Got it. 90-90 position.
Now, here is the absolute most crucial part. You need to actively use your lower abs to press your lower back flat against the floor. Eliminate that natural arch completely.
How do you know if you're doing it right?
Imagine trying to slide your hand under your lower back you shouldn't be able to. Or think about gently crushing a grape underneath the small of your back. That slight pelvic tilt is what engages at the deep core muscles we want. Hold that flat back throughout the entire exercise.
Okay, back flat, core braced.
Yeah.
What next?
Arms straight up towards the ceiling. Now slowly extend one leg, let's say the left leg, straight out, hovering just above the floor. Keep the toes pointing up.
How low do I go?
Only as low as you can maintain that flat back position. The instant you feel your lower back start to arch off the floor, you've gone too far or too fast. Bring the leg back to the start. Then switch legs.
So it's leg extensions, maintaining the flat back.
That's the basic version. To really ramp up the core tension and work the fascia, you add the opposite arm. So as your left leg extends forward, your right arm simultaneously reaches back over your head towards the floor, keeping it straight. Again, only go as far as you can control without the back arching.
Left leg out, right arm back, then switch.
Then bring them back to the start position with control, then switch, right leg extends, left arm reaches back. That opposite arm-leg movement creates this amazing cross-body tension, really firing up those deep stabilizers and obliques.
That sounds like it requires a lot of concentration.
It does. It's about quality, not quantity. Slow, controlled, deliberate movement, constantly checking that lower back pressure. You could also do same arm leg or just legs if the arms are too much initially. The key is that stable core and flat back.
And how often should you do this?
Honestly, consistency is key. Doing it daily, even just for a few minutes, focusing purely on that control on the flat back. You should start to see and feel a noticeable tightening, that girdle effect, within maybe 1 or 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from fighting our body like it's being chased by a bear
Yeah.
to realizing we can be totally self-sufficient by just tapping into our own fuel supply.
Eating from the pantry.
And finally, learning how to build our own internal corset by occasionally pretending to be a slightly unfortunate beetle.
Huh. A very effective beetle.
You know, if we pull back and look at the big picture here, the central theme, the real revelation, is that managing your body composition is fundamentally an internal chemistry problem.
Not just a math problem.
Exactly. It's about hormones. You have a choice. You can work with your body's hormonal signals primarily by managing insulin, which makes the process feel relatively easy. No constant hunger, stable energy using your own resources.
Or
Or you can fight against them using sheer unsustainable willpower to battle cravings and a slowed metabolism triggered by outdated calorie restriction methods, which is just miserable.
makes the choice pretty clear. It's the type of fuel that matters way more than just the total amount.
It really seems to be the deciding factor. So what does this all mean for everyone listening? We've learned you don't necessarily need to starve yourself into this metabolic mess. And you definitely don't need to wreck your back with endless, ineffective crunches to get a toned stomach.
The secret sauce seems to be turning down that one key hormone, insulin, mainly by being really smart about carbohydrate intake and then building that internal structural support with exercises like the dead bug.
You have a metabolically stable, toned beetle.
A very stable beetle indeed.
All right, here's a final thought, maybe a provocative question for you to chew on. If our bodies are already designed with this perfect, self-sustaining energy pantry and this natural internal girdle system, how many other things are we fighting against? In our fitness, our diet, maybe even our stress management? Just because we haven't quite figured out the owner's manual yet?